Good afternoon, folks. George Vukicevic with V&M Mortgage at Security National Mortgage. Thanks for tuning in to our podcast. And Ernesto, thanks for having me today here. I appreciate it. This is another episode here with Ernesto, leading up to these very important dates coming in August.
For sure.
Ernesto, again, thanks for having me.
Boy.
So Ernesto, there are some more questions we've been getting on social media regarding some of our agents, and some of the questions are pertaining to open houses.
Yeah.
And I know that we've been asking these questions regarding open houses, and I guess the biggest thing is, what do you do when a client walks in?
I got some clarity on that in the last couple hours, actually. Okay. A lot of information has come out in the last 48 hours. Florida Realtors has released about 6 or 7 different forms, different contracts that are all sort of coming together. I created a little flow chart that we're going to show you in a little bit. What's happening right now with open houses is open houses are essentially not included in the whole process where you have to create a relationship with a potential buyer.
Okay.
Only to the extent that you're not adding extra services. For example, if I'm sitting on an open house and you come in as a potential buyer, you want to look around, you're welcome to look around, you don't have to sign anything.
Right.
The minute you ask me to give you a specific type of property in a specific location, like send me to do some homework on your behalf, that triggers the process that we're going to discuss.
Okay.
So that's the line of demarcation that we're looking for. So it's no traditional working relationship until there is one, right? As soon as we go into from random to specific, that's the trigger. So from there, we're looking to have something signed. We're looking to create the relationship between the agent, the brokerage, and the buyer, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So we did have our hands full with this.
Yeah, and I think it's very important
No doubt.
you as agents that you make sure you get the necessary training. And we'll have Ernesto's information down below, so if you want to ask him questions, he's great getting back to his agents and helping him out, no matter what office you work at.
For sure.
Ernesto, other questions is, as an agent, where would I find out, or how can I tell what the compensation is on a specific property? Since you can't have it on MLS,
Can't have it on the MLS.
So how would I find it out?
Absolutely not on the MLS. However, this is what they're telling us. If it's not on the MLS, it's not tied to IDX, you're able to put it elsewhere. For example, you could put you can put the commission at the house, for example, right? That's interesting. I saw that in a webinar recently. You can put a document, for example, the seller's document that shows how much commission they're paying on the transaction. Just leave it right at the listing. People drop their cards right next to that document, and they know what that potential listing is paying. So that's perfectly legal. That's one way to do it.
Okay.
We're going to have to do a little bit better job answering the phone as agents, because listing agents will be receiving phone calls from potential buyers agents, asking about the commission side. So that's going to create a little bit better relationship, I hope, better relationship between all of us. So that's great.
Other question agents been asking is, so now that this responsibility has been kind of taken away from the seller, right, the buyer's commission? Essentially,
they should still offer to pay.
So
we definitely want to talk about that too.
Yeah, help answer this question. So who's going to pay? Let's pretend I'm a buyer's agent, right? How would I get paid, and who do I need to make sure that they have that obligation to pay me as a buyer's agent, so I'm not doing work for free? So how would I go about that?
Well, you're going to have a conversation with your buyers regarding commissions. You're going to have to put that conversation, or the results of that conversation, into a buyer brokerage agreement. By the way, that is the target document that we're looking for. There's a few other ones that lead up to it, and we'll talk about it later. But the buyer brokerage agreement is the target document that we want, because that aligns that buyer to us as the agent and to our brokerage as well, right? So once we have that commission in there. Now from there, you're asking, how do we actually get it, right? All right, so the buyer agrees to whatever they agree to on that document. Then we go and we start shopping for property. Let's assume that a seller has smart enough to work with a good listing agent and agree to put at least a 1% or a 1.5% to the buy side on the listing agreement, not on the MLS, on the listing agreement, right? Once that's there, and I make a phone call to the listing agent says, okay, Ernesto, so you've got 1.5% offered by the seller, right? I've got a contract here for 3% with my buyer, right? So now I'm telling my buyer, it's your lucky day. You only have to pay 1.5% to complete this document, because the seller's paying me the other 1.5%. That's a great scenario, because that agent's going to get 3%, and that's exactly how that works. Things get a little more complicated when the numbers don't match up, right? For example, if a buyer and a buyer's agent agree to a 2.5% commission, and then they go look at the listing and it's a 3% commission, right? The agent is not allowed to make more than what's on that document. So either that document has to be updated, right? Because they do have modifier contracts that they built with these buyer brokerage agreements, or the agent and the brokerage is stuck with that 2.5%. One
Okay.
or the other, full transparency. That's what they're looking for.
Awesome.
So we're getting somewhere, right? I think
Yeah.
we're getting somewhere.
Absolutely.
There's a lot there, but we're getting somewhere.
So, folks, as this date approaches, continue to send us questions so that we can get these questions answered by our experts here in our local area.
We've done a lot of homework here.
They have. And so as we get these questions answered, continue to follow us on our podcast. We're actually going to be having a link down below where we're going to show Ernesto's flowchart with these new forms that just came out
Super easy.
just yesterday. So again, keep an eye on this video as we'll have the link down below and you'll be able to watch the next upcoming video and episode on how this flowchart works, and it's going to be very, very valuable for you as an agent.
There's the other thing too. There's a 30 Q&A question that we put together for our agents, which I'm going to give to George. And George, you're welcome to pass that around to anybody that wants it. It's a 33 Q&A. It's a bunch of links about where to go find extra information. And we have it narrowed down to exactly what they need to do with the highlighted behavior changes in there as well. So we try to bring a lot of information down into a little bit of a space. And I'm hoping that agents spend half an hour reading through those and become much more educated. So I'm going to provide that to you and you can pass it around to
I
whoever
appreciate
likes
it. So as we're providing that helpful information, Ernesto, what's a good number agents can reach out to you regarding questions, whether your office or any other office?
Absolutely. Call the office. We have a broker line here.
Go ahead.
Call me directly as the broker. It's 239-699-0644. That's our broker line.
Okay, one more time.
It's 239-699-0644.
There you have it, guys. I'll
Direct
also
line
have
to
that
the
listed
broker,
on there.
guys. Call me anytime.
Ernesto, thank you so much for having us. And guys, stay tuned as we go over Ernesto's flowchart for here in his office.
Until next time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank